Welcome into another episode of Wyatt Zang's College Football Show. We're here for episode number 56. We are 56 episodes through. That's just crazy to think about because when I first started the show, I was like, man, getting to 50 episodes is going to be tough. We are here. We are at episode 56. Crazy. We got a lot to talk about though. Season previews come to an end most likely tonight. Unless I want to do a few other teams I didn't get to. Tonight is going to be the official end of season previews. We have Texas, we got Oregon, and we got Ohio State. 3 team season previews for 2026. And then we're getting into full prediction season. I'm putting out some YouTube shorts on the channel of teams' record predictions and schedule predictions. So make sure you subscribe for that as well. We also have a top 25 for you. We got preseason top 25. This is my last top 25 before the 2026 college football season kicks off. So we can go ahead and jump right into the show. But if you are not subscribed, make sure you subscribe because we are college football year round here. There's no off season. There was no NBA. There's no NCAA basketball. There's none of that. There's no baseball. This is college football year round. So make sure you are subscribed. Let's jump into some season previews. Texas's 2026 season preview. What do we expect from the Longhorns in 2026? Well, looking at their just team overall, I want to start with their offense. Arch Manning. This is Arch Manning's year. Let's be honest. This is the season where Arch Manning needs to come out and show us that he can do it. Because we didn't see it last year. We didn't see the Arch Manning that we thought we were going to get. We didn't get it. We didn't get the Heisman Arch Manning that we thought. We didn't get the top SEC quarterback Arch Manning. We didn't get any of that. The question is, can we get that this year? We put a lot of expectations on Arch Manning last year. Like if you think back to the preseason, around this time last year, we put Heisman favorite on Arch Manning. We put Texas national championship top 3. We put all these expectations on him and that team. And did they accomplish any of those expectations? No. They went 9-3, missed the playoff, and Arch wasn't top 10 in Heisman. What do we do in 2026? What do we get from Arch Manning this upcoming year? Because for my money, I'm not putting anything on Arch Manning, that's for sure. Because I need to see it first. I have full confidence that Arch Manning can do it in 2026. I have full confidence that he's going to have a really solid year. I have full confidence in everything I'm saying. But my question is, my personal feel is I need to see it first. I can't put all my eggs into a basket that I haven't seen any production from. Can't do it. But in 2026, when they play Ohio State in week 2, we'll get to their schedule at the end of this preview, but they play Ohio State in week 2. Do we finally see it then? That's what I want to know. Can we see it from Texas when they go play those big teams? So that's my question with Arch Manning. Manning enters 2026 as, the 4th player with 15 career starts. As a 4th player with 15 career starts and a 12-3 record as a starter. 12-3 as a starter is not horrible. It's pretty good, if you ask me. So, can we get a solid year from Arch Manning? That's my biggest question with him. He's already being projected, again, as one of the top quarterbacks in the country. We've got to be careful about how we value and view Arch Manning. Because we can't be putting all these expectations on him. Because if he hasn't met those expectations, then it's childish of us to say, oh, he's going to be a Heisman favorite. We haven't seen it yet. So how can we put him that high if we haven't seen it yet? Like that's why I'm so careful about the expectations I put on freshmen. Like Jeremiah Smith, I didn't put a ton of expectations on him when he came out because I don't think that you should put expectations on guys you haven't seen it from. So someone like Arch Manning, we haven't seen it from him yet. We haven't seen the Heisman season. We haven't seen the playoff. We haven't seen Arch Manning make the playoff yet as a starter. Now, granted, he's only done it 1 year. We haven't seen it yet. So that's why I'm very hesitant on what I do with Arch Manning. I mean, he's very talented, obviously. Like he's got an elite arm. When I say elite arm, I mean like he can make the throws necessary. He's accurate. He's an accurate quarterback. He can scramble. He can go get some yards on the ground. He can make big plays. Like he can do all that stuff. He's starting to get some experience in Texas's system, in Steve Sarkisian's offense. But the expectations are pretty high. And we got to be careful about what we our expectations that we put on Arch Manning. So just be careful with that when it comes to Arch Manning. My biggest question is, does Arch Manning become a true superstar? Do we see him break out as a quarterback in 2026 on this offense? That's what I want to know before I put all my eggs in the Arch Manning basket. So that is Arch Manning so far. And I just wanted to say this before we move on from Arch Manning. Yes, he has the ability to be a top quarterback. Fully has the ability. He has the ability to be the best quarterback in the SEC. He has the ability to do all these things. I just haven't seen it yet. So that's where I'm at with Arch Manning. What about the running back room with Texas? This is a room that I am really high on. I don't have any questions about Texas's running back room. That is for sure. Like, I don't have any, what is their running back room going to be? What about the unknowns of the running backs? They got two solid running backs in Hollywood Smothers and Raleek Brown. Those are two guys that I'm super high on, and I couldn't be any more high on. We'll start with Raleek Brown. He's coming in from Arizona State, I believe. He is a really good run. He's going to be he's an every down running back, similar to Hollywood Smothers from NC State. Now, I think Smothers is the bigger of the running back, the bigger of the two, but he's going to be really good. So their running back room, they have multiple backs capable of contributing in 2026. They have multiple guys capable of being top producers on this offense. They're both just workhorses in the backfield. Like, this is a really good backfield. The question is, whether someone can become who's going to be the number one guy is kind of a question. I guess you don't really necessarily need a number one guy, but we do need to see some solid play from both of these guys. And I think we're going to get it 100% in 2026. So, again, Steve Sarkisian is going to want to run the football. Like, Texas wants to run the football in 26. They do not want to be a pass-only team. Like, they were very pass-heavy this past year because they lost C.J. Baxter to injury. So they're going to be a very pass-heavy team last year. They're going to be run-heavy this year. And they're going to change their philosophy a little bit. They're still going to, pass the ball with Arch Manning. Don't get me wrong. They're still going to give him the ball, and they're still going to say, go out and make these throws, go out and make a big play, and go win us the game every once in a while. But if they have a solid running game, maybe they don't have to say, hey, Arch, go win the game for us. Maybe they can say, hey, Arch, go get 250, 200 passing yards, get us to, 1 or 2 touchdowns, and the rest will take care of itself. So that's the running game. The wide receivers is a spot where I think it's going to really help Arch Manning. This is where Arch Manning, I think, is going to be where a lot of his help is going to come from. Because you look at this receiver room, and you got names like Ryan Wingo. You got names like Cam Coleman, Jermaine Bishop, Emmett Mosley. Those are 4 really good guys. Ryan Niblett. So this is one of the most exciting receiver groups in the country. And this is my most exciting position group on this team. This wide receiver group is going to be deadly. And it's going to be insane. Again, Wingo is a major returning piece, and Cam Coleman is a portal guy. So, with most portal guys, it's like, well, what do you get from him? We know what we're going to get from Cam Coleman. We're going to get a really good season. For my money, it'd be a 1,000-yard season. So you have 4 really solid receivers. So Arch Manning's not going to have to go out and win the game himself. He's going to have playmakers that'll help him do it at the running back spot, at the receiver spot. So he's going to be okay there in those 2 positions. Offensive line. This is where I think more of the questions come. This is where more of the reasons for concern offensively would be Texas's offense. Would be things like, the biggest questions on this team. Texas's offensive line, sorry. We don't quite know what we're going to get from them. There's been rumors going around that, they're still in the development phase, which I don't love to hear. I don't love to hear that they're still developing their offensive line. So this could be where I could potentially move back on Texas. I could, take a little bit of stock out of their offense. Now, I still love what they have at offense. And I don't think they're going to be their top 5 team, no doubt. We'll see my top 25 at the end of the show. So I'm not losing stock in Texas because of the offensive line. Still a really good offensive line. And it's still going to be a solid, position group. Now, it's not going to be the best in the SEC. It's not going to be the best in college football. It's going to be very average. but is it good enough, average enough, to where it can support a run game? It can support Arch Manning when he drop backs and passes. So the offensive line is big question for me on the offense, but if they can figure it out, I think they'll be an okay team in 2026. All right, now we can get to the defense of Texas. Defensive line and edge rushers. This is going to be a good group, and probably one of the biggest strengths on this defense for Texas is their edge rushers and defensive line. The centerpiece is obviously Colin Simmons. Like, he is looking like he's going to be the stud of this team, and he's already the leader of this team. Like, there's Steve Sarkisian and Will Muschamp have said that Colin Simmons is the leader and the captain of this defense, which I personally love to hear, because we're losing guys like Anthony Hill, who were at those key positions last year, who were the leaders and the captains of this team, who are now gone. So who can fill those spots? We're seeing guys like Colin Simmons who can come in and fill those spots. So that gives me a lot of confidence on the defensive line and the edge rusher. Simmons is going to be a top pick in the draft. There's no doubt in my mind. So you have that talent at the edge rusher and defensive line position. Linebackers. This is, they're really talented at linebacker as well. I wanted to mention this. Texas has very athletic linebackers. The star here being Rasheem Biles, the transfer from Pitt. This guy is 100% a centerpiece of this defense. Like, if Rasheem Biles has a good year, Texas is going to have a good year defensively. So a lot of things revolve around this defense, as I've said. A lot of the key pieces are on defense. And if the defense is good, Texas will be good. Like, if Texas has a mediocre offensive line, but a really good wide receiver, running back, and quarterback room, and a really good defense, they'll be fine. They'll probably be, they could be a one-loss team. So the linebackers are good. The secondary's got plenty of talent. Texas kind of has to prove themselves, though, at offense or at secondary, which I think they 100% can. So I'm not saying that their secondary is bad. I'm just saying the secondary, has to avoid explosive plays. They got to avoid explosive plays. They got to, win one-on-one matchups. That's something that we need to see more of this year. We need to, create some more turnovers, hold up the pass game. Like, we need to, I highlighted create turnovers. If we can create turnovers on the defensive side of the ball, that opens up the offense by a lot. That gives the offense the ball more. That gives just Arch Manning more time and more, I can't think of what the word is, more, I lost my train of thought there. But it gives him more opportunities. There it is. Gives him more opportunities to score touchdowns and put points on the board, which then is just good for everyone on the team. So the secondary of Texas is going to be a key position here. So now we can get to the schedule. This is going to be the fun part. They start off with a pretty relatively easy game. Texas State. It's at home. Starting off easy there. Okay. Now we jump right into the tough part of their schedule, the meat of their schedule. You got Ohio State. You got them at home, but you still got Ohio State. It's going to be a tough game. And if you can get a win there, that'd be amazing. So you have Ohio State. You have UTSA. You have Tennessee. Tennessee could be sneaky. You have Oklahoma. That's going to be a tough game. Red River Shootout. That is one of the best, if not the best rivalry in college football. You got Florida. If it's a home game for Texas, but I still think Florida could be a little frisky. You saw them last year. They were a pretty, sneaky team. They beat Texas last year. So pay attention to that Florida game, please. I think Florida's better this year than they were last year. So pay attention to that Florida game. Ole Miss, that's a tough game. There's no easy win against Ole Miss this year. Mississippi State, you got at Missouri, at LSU could be a tough game. LSU could be a frisky team. You got Arkansas, and you end with at Texas A&M. Texas A&M's a team that could be a tough team. That could be a team that could potentially put a loss on your schedule late in the season that you weren't expecting. So you gotta really watch out for some of those games on Texas's schedule. But that is Texas as a team preview. That is their team preview for 2026. That is Texas as an entire team. I think they're going to be a really solid team. I don't see a world where Texas is a bad football team. in 2026. I don't see a world, I honestly, call me crazy, I don't see a world where Texas misses the playoff again in 2026. So I'm really high on Texas. Let me know in the comments your take on Texas, what you think their record would be, and how you think Arch Manning's going to do. So let me know all that in the comments below. And if you are a Texas fan, make sure you are subscribed to the channel. We got Oregon next, and then Ohio State. And we got a top 25 to get to. There's a lot of college football to talk about. And you know what? It's June, and we got a lot of college football to talk about, and I love it. Could not ask for it any other way. Or not June, July, sorry. I got my months mixed up there. It's July, and we got a lot of college football to talk about. Absolutely love it. What is Oregon going to be in 2026? That's one of my questions. What is Oregon going to be? Start off with the offense. Start off with Dante Moore. Dante Moore is one of the biggest reasons Oregon is viewed as a national championship contender, in my eyes. Because Dante Moore is returning as a very experienced guy, as a very experienced quarterback, and he's kind of viewed as the centerpiece of this Oregon team. You know, he's viewed as a guy that should contend for the Heisman again. When I say again, I mean like contend for the Heisman. I guess he necessarily wasn't very high in the Heisman race last year, but he should contend for the Heisman. He should be a 3,000 plus yard passer. He should be a top player in college football. Like, all these things should be what Dante Moore is in 2026. And I'm really high on Dante Moore. Don't get me wrong. I'm very high on him. But when I look at Oregon and I look at Dante Moore, I see not a lot of questions, which is a good thing, because I just did Texas's preview. If you're not watching the full, if you're just watching this clipped video and not the full show, I suggest you watch the full show and the clipped video. But when you look at Texas, they have questions about Arch Manning. You know, they got a lot of questions about Arch Manning, what he's going to be. You don't have that with Oregon and Dante Moore. You have more of, okay, we saw what Dante Moore was last year. He was a really good quarterback. Can we get that same Dante Moore, basically? Maybe slightly better. So we don't have a lot of questions about Dante Moore. He enters 2026 as a veteran quarterback, returns to the same offense, new offensive staff with Will Stein gone, but still returns to the same team. So can he continue what he did in 2025? You know, Dante Moore, I'm really high on him. I think he's going to be a Heisman finalist. I think all these attributes that he has, you know, he's got excellent arm talent. He's got high-level accuracy. He's experienced in a major offense. He's ability to make big plays downfield. He's mobile. He's a very mobile quarterback. Those are all things I wrote down about Dante Moore, and they were all true. Like, he can do all those things. He is a phenomenal quarterback. He's great at making plays. So I'm really high on Dante Moore, and I think he's going to be the centerpiece of this offense, and Oregon goes as Dante Moore goes. So do with that what you will, but I think that when I look into it, that's how I see it. I think Oregon goes as Dante Moore goes. So there we go. That is kind of my Dante Moore overview. My last thing with Dante Moore, my biggest question, I guess, is can Dante Moore become the quarterback who finally gets Oregon over the top? That's my question that I'm going to leave you guys with. I'll kind of answer it for me, but I want you guys to answer that. Do you think Dante Moore is the quarterback who finally gets Oregon over the top, over the hump, to the national championship? You can go ahead and answer that right now. I'm going to give you my answer here in a second. I think he is. That could come as a shock. That could come as an obvious answer. But I think he's the guy and the quarterback that is going to get Oregon over the top into the national championship. Because I think Oregon's going to have a really good shot to make the national championship. I'm not going to call my shot now. I'm going to have a playoff prediction here video coming out very soon. So I'm not going to call my shot now. But I will say, I think he's going to be the guy that gets Oregon over the top in 2026. So I'm super high on Dante Moore. What about the running back room for Oregon? Let's dive into that real quick. Oregon has a deep and talented running back room. Very deep, very talented. They have Jordan Davison, who is one of the biggest names to watch in this running back room. You know, the Ducks also have several other talented young running backs who are going to get carries this year. But Jordan Davison is the key guy this year. Davison is a very highly regarded running back. He's a very explosive playmaker. Like, this guy can make plays. And he's also a guy that's going to kind of balance this offense out. Because you don't want it to be a pass-heavy offense, that's for sure. And I don't think it will be. I think he'll be a perfect running back to balance between run game and pass game. So I'm very confident in what Jordan Davison's going to do in 2026. So I got a lot of confidence in him. Oregon can't be dependent on Dante Moore. They could, but they don't want to be. Or I'll rephrase that. Oregon doesn't want to be dependent on Dante Moore in 2026. So that's the run game. That's the quarterback position. What about receivers? Because receiver is, this could be one of the most exciting positions for this team. I'm certainly excited about them for names that most people don't really necessarily think about. Because when you think of Oregon's receiver room, your brain instantly goes to Decorian Moore. It instantly goes to Jeremiah McClellan. It instantly goes to Gatlin Bear. It goes to guys like that. A guy that I think is going to be maybe the best receiver on this team, who I think is a little underrated in 2026, Evan Stewart. That's not a name that's being thrown around in terms of top 5 wide receiver conversations or even top 10 wide receiver conversations. Evan Stewart's not a name being thrown around. You have your Jeremiah Smiths, your Cam Colemans, your Ryan Wingos, your Malachi Tonys, your Mario Cravers, your Decorian Moores, your Deuce Robinson. You have all those names. Your Ryan Williams. You have all those names. No one's talking about Evan Stewart because, maybe he dealt with injuries and he was up and down with that. And he was, at Texas A&M for a while. He was quiet there. A lot of people are not as high on Evan Stewart. And I'm really high on it. Personally, I am very high on Evan Stewart and what he can do in 2026 and his ability to make plays. Evan Stewart is a playmaker, a downfield playmaker. Decorian Moore is the guy that you're going to really rely on. He's going to be your guy where you're going to say, we got to get the ball to a play. We got to get a catch here. We got to get a first down. Who we getting the ball to? Decorian Moore. I think Evan Stewart could do the same thing, though. I think Evan Stewart could be just as good, if not better, than Decorian Moore. So keep your eye out for him. I think he's going to be a phenomenal player. Offensive line for Oregon. Offensive line is not, they're not the absolute best, but they're not the absolute worst. This is one of the biggest areas to watch. Or they have plenty of talent up front, but the Ducks need the offensive line to prove that it can consistently dominate, I guess you could say. Can they consistently dominate enough where they're freeing up the run game, where they're freeing up Dante Moore to have time to drop back and throw? We need to get a good year from this offensive line if we want to have success. If Oregon wants to have success offensively or success overall, because their offense isn't working, then your defense reliant, and then that's where you can't win the shootout games. So we need to have a good offensive line for Oregon this year. If Oregon wants to win the Big Ten, want to win the national championship, you got to have an offensive line that can stand up against Ohio State, it can stand up against Texas, can stand up against Georgia, can stand up against Miami, Notre Dame. We need to be able to have an offensive line that can withstand injuries. So it needs to be a deep offensive line because there's going to be injuries. You're playing in the Big Ten. You're playing in a run-heavy league. You're playing in a dominant league. You're playing in a league where it's very physical play. So if you have a deep offensive line that has talent, you're going to be okay. You're going to be okay if you're Oregon, and you're going to have a good offense. Now we can get to the defensive side of the ball for Oregon, and this is where things get fun. Defensive line, one of the biggest strengths of this roster. The defensive line. Oregon has size, athleticism. They got depth up front, and I'm really excited about it. There's a big name here, Bear Alexander, who appears on their roster after previous stops at Georgia and USC. So Bear Alexander is a guy that I think is going to be just an absolute dog at defensive line. So I'm really high on him as well. The goal for this defensive line, in my opinion, is to create pressure without having to blitz constantly. Can we create pressure on opposing quarterbacks, on opposing run games, without having to blitz linebackers, without having to sub out a corner and put in a linebacker to blitz them? Can we get consistent pressure? That's my biggest goal for Oregon on this defensive line for 2026. Edge rushers, again, going to be about the same thing. It's going to be about the same thing, same task, create pressure without having to blitz. Secondary, this is where things get fun. This is where things get fun. The Ducks have plenty of athleticism here. I can tell you that for sure. One of my key DBs for this team, Coy Parrish. Watch out for Coy Parrish in 2026. That guy is going to be an absolute dog. He already is an absolute dog, but he's going to be even better. So watch out for Coy Parrish. That guy's going to be insane. Watch out for guys like, we'll just throw out a name here, Xavier Barksdale. Watch out for him. Watch out for all these guys in the secondary who are going to make amazing plays for this Oregon team. This group has the ability to be very good, like very good in 2026, and I think they can be. But my question is against teams like Ohio State and against teams like USC and against top teams like that, Texas and Oregon in the playoffs, can you consistently create turnovers? I think they can. So my microphone almost fell. So I think they can, and I think that they will. So I don't have a ton of concerns there with Oregon. Got rattled there for a second. Microphone fell and it freaked me out. So that is Oregon's team. Now we can jump into their schedule real quick and kind of break down what we're feeling with their schedule here. Starting off with Boise State at home. You got at Oklahoma State. That could be a frisky game. Watch out for the Cowboys, especially with new coach there, new team. Portland State, you at USC. That's going to be a tough game. Don't overlook USC. Wow, I can't talk. You got UCLA, Nebraska. It's going to be tough games here. Tough games. You got at Illinois. You got Northwestern. At Ohio State. That's going to be a tough game, and those are the games that are really going to test you. The games like USC and Ohio State, both on the road, going to really test you. You got Michigan. Sneaky tough game there. And you end the year with Washington. Washington's going to be a frisky team. Damon Williams is there. So not the easiest schedule for Oregon, but also not the toughest schedule for Oregon. So that's Oregon's 2026 schedule and season and team preview for 2026. If you're an Oregon Ducks fan or college football fan in general, make sure you are subscribed to the channel. College football year round. We're going to be locked in from now until week 1. So yeah. Make sure you are subscribed. Go to Ohio State's season preview next. Their offense is going to be a fun one to jump into. We got Ohio State, and then we have the top 25. I almost said A people. This ain't the A people. The A people, if I was on the A people, things would have looked a lot better in 2026, that's for sure. Ohio State's season preview for 2026. What are the Buckeyes going to be in 2026? What do we expect them to be? And what's their full potential? Well, looking at this team, I see two different narratives with this team. I see a narrative where someone could look at them and say, well, Ryan Day's got to get it done in 2026. He needs to be more dominant. And then there's another group over here that says, well, he won it in 2024. Why do we need to put all this pressure on him? That's the group I'm in. People are putting pressure on Ryan Day right now. Why are we putting pressure on Ryan Day? Ryan Day won a national championship 2 years ago. There should be no pressure on Ohio State and Ryan Day other than to make the college football playoff. I'm going to leave you with that as we jump into their offensive preview. So their offense, starting with quarterback Julian Sayin. Julian Sayin enters 2026 as one of the most important players on this team because he's going to have expectations of, being a Heisman finalist, of being a, one of the best quarterbacks in college football, and one of the best quarterbacks in the Big Ten. Because if you want to win the Big Ten, we need to have an improved Julian Sayin. And it pains me to say that because how much I love Julian Sayin and how young he is and his ability to be really good. I think Julian Sayin is going to be a really good team, or really good player in 2026. But we need to see a little bit more from him. Wouldn't you say we need to see slightly more from him? That's my opinion. Because last year in the big games, in the Big Ten Championship against Indiana, in the college football playoff against Miami. 2 high-pressure situations that didn't go his way. Can we flip those this year? Can we get a better and more improved Julian Sand? Can we get a Julian Sand where in those key moments, when he took on those top teams, when Ohio State had to have it, and Julian Sand was the guy that was going to have to drive them down the field and win them the game. Can we get that from Julian Sand? So that's my question there. He led Ohio State to to the college football playoff last year, but we need to get a little bit more from him. He's got insane accuracy. His release is phenomenal. A lot of people talk about how quick his release is. Still there. Hasn't lost the release. It's still there. So I guess my biggest question is, can he become a true superstar? Can he become a true QB1? Well, he is a QB1, but can he become a true superstar? Could Julian Sand become the next great Ohio State quarterback? Because you have guys like C.J. Stroud who got it done in the playoff. If they would have made a field, here's the thing. Here's a kicker here's a food for thought. If C.J. Stroud, or if Ohio State and that C.J. Stroud team, I think it might have been 2022, I believe, or 2023. I think 2022. If Ohio State's kicker would have made that kick, Ohio State would have went on to play for a national championship and beat TCU most likely and won the national championship. And you'd be looking at a team with 2 national championships in the last 4 years. We're not looking at that right now. We're looking at a team that has 1 national championship in the last 4 years. So difference of 1 kick would have totally changed Ohio State's your view on Ryan Day and your view on Ohio State. That's for sure. So that's Julian Sand. Now we can move on to the running backs. This is one of my most intriguing position groups on their team, or especially on their offense, because of the starter, Bo Jackson. Bo Jackson's going to be the guy that's going to really be the centerpiece of this team or this running back room. He's going to be where people have their biggest questions and maybe your biggest spotlights. Maybe you're super high on Bo Jackson. I'm super high on Bo Jackson. And no, we're not talking about Bo Jackson from Auburn. We're talking about Bo Jackson from Ohio State. Because Bo Jackson from Ohio State is not as good as Bo Jackson from Auburn. And I'm not saying he needs to be that good. But can we get, 900 yards? Does that seem reasonable? 800 yards? Can we get 900 yards from Bo Jackson? Like, does that seem reasonable? Let me know in the comments below if that seems reasonable. If we can get that, I think we're solid at the running back room. Because when we move on to the receiver room, and this is where things get spicy. This is where things get hot. Because the receiver room has guys like Jeremiah Smith, like Brandon Inniss, like we can go ahead and throw out Chris Henry. Like, you are loaded at the wide receiver room. Like, you just brought in Jet Harrison. I know he's not coming to the team till next year. 5-star wide receiver, Jet Harrison. Marvin Harrison's brother. Marvin Harrison's son. I guess you say Marvin Harrison Jr.'s brother. So you got him in the recruiting coming up for 2027. But 2026, you got Jeremiah Smith, Brandon Inniss. You got Chris Henry. Like, you're loaded at the wide receiver room. So I don't have any questions there whether you can get it done at the wide receiver room and help out Julian Sand, which is going to be one of my biggest things. Can you help Julian Sand? Can you make it to where Ohio State doesn't have to rely on a run game or on Julian Sand making plays because they need to let their horses at wide receiver run? That's something they didn't do last year. Felt like they were kind of holding back. Felt like they were saying, you know what? We're not going to let Jeremiah Smith just take over a game. We're not going to let Carnell Tate take over a game. Those are some of the things that I saw last year. I'm sitting there watching these games. I'm like, no, I'm never one to question play calling because I know how difficult it is. And I know there's always a reason why you call that play. So I'm not questioning play calling, but I'm saying I'm sitting there watching these games like the Michigan game, or not even the Michigan game, but I'm watching like the Miami game, the Indiana game. The Indiana game is a perfect example. I'm sitting there watching it, and I'm saying, why are they not letting Jeremiah Smith get the ball and just run with it for miles and make plays? Why is Carnell Tate over here just not getting the ball and running with it? Like, those two guys should be running with the football and making those big plays. We didn't see that last year. So this year, can you take Jeremiah Smith? Can you take Brandon Inniss? You take Chris Henry. Can you get them the ball and just let them run with it? Because that's what I think you need to do if you want to have a lot of success this year. So let's head to the offensive line. Ohio State's offensive line should be decent enough. We'll say that. We'll say that right now. Ohio State's offensive line should be good enough to where they could produce a good product on the field, to be able to run the ball consistently, to be able to pass the ball consistently. I think their offensive line is going to be good. They've invested heavily in this position. They've always sent some decent linemen to the NFL. So this is Ohio State has enough talent on the team at offensive line. Just can we find some guys that can make some good production in that group? Defensive line still remains loaded with talent for Ohio State. That's for sure. They have size, they got speed, they got depth. Like, this defensive line may not be the flashiest in terms of big names, but I think they're still going to be pretty solid. The secondary. I know we're flying through this defense here, but I want to get to the secondary. This is potentially the best unit on defense. Now, I know they're replacing a lot in Caleb Downs, in, number one, the corner. I don't even, his name was so hard to say, I don't even remember. But you know who I'm talking about. They're replacing two key defensive DBs. So how can this be one of the best units on defense? They're one of the best units because they're replacing at a decent enough level for 2026. So that's why I'm saying that. They have some good talent. They got some good depth. They got, some aggressive guys who can play aggressive coverage. Like, this should be a very difficult secondary to throw against. So that's Ohio State's team. Wanting to jump into their schedule real quick. Starting off in week 1, they got Ball State. Should be easy. They got at Texas. This is where things get difficult. This is where your team's got to be clicking on all cylinders. You got to be clicking on all cylinders early. We need this week 2. You got at Texas. You got versus Kent State. Versus Illinois. You start conference play. This is where you should see. We should be able to, know what Texas or what Ohio State is after the Texas game. We should look at that game and say, okay, we kind of have a feel for what this team's going to be in 2026. And then they got at Iowa, Maryland. Then this is the most crucial part of Ohio State's schedule, is right here what I'm about to say. You go at Indiana, bye week, at USC, on Oregon at home. Those are the 3 most crucial games on this schedule. That's the most crucial 4-week stretch of this schedule. Of this entire year. Entire season for Ohio State. That's it. That is it. You got to get out of there 2-1. Because if you drop that Texas game, let's say you drop that Texas game, you got to get out of there 2-1. You cannot be worse than 10-2. If you're a 10-2 team with this schedule, you're getting to the playoff. That's for sure. So if you can get out of there, let's say you beat Indiana, you beat USC, but you drop one to Oregon. You get out of there, you're fine. You're okay. But then you got to take care of business versus Northwestern, at Nebraska, and Michigan at home. Got to take care of business there. So I think all things considered, it's a really tough schedule, but it's not the toughest schedule. I've seen tougher schedules. I've seen, more difficult roads to the playoff. All things considered, I think Ohio State has the team, especially the offense, to get through the schedule. If you're an Ohio State fan, make sure you are subscribed to the channel. That is for sure. Do not don't just watch this video and then say, oh, that was a good video, and then leave. Go ahead and like the video. Go ahead and check out the other videos on the channel and make sure you are subscribed. The college football season is right around the corner. Appreciate y'all for being locked in. All right, top 25 time. This is my favorite time of the year. This was a tough. Oh, it's a tongue twist. Wow, I can't talk. That was a tongue twister. Tough top 25. This was a tough one to put together. We'll get ahead and jump right into it. Top 25 time. Preseason top 25. Let's go ahead and dive right in. Starting off with my number 25 team in my preseason top 25. Kicking off with Tennessee, the Volunteers. Why do I have Tennessee here? Why do I have Tennessee at number 25? Because, I I still believe in Josh Heupel. I still believe in a Josh Heupel-led Tennessee team. I still believe in a Josh Heupel offense, even though it's a young team or a young quarterback room, in whether it's George McIntyre or Faison Brandon. Whatever happens, it's going to be a young quarterback. It's going to be a first-time quarterback. I know it's always tough to win with first-time quarterbacks, but I'm still a believer in Josh Heupel. I'm not losing hope in Josh Heupel because, maybe there's questions at quarterback. He's going to figure it out. He's Josh Heupel. He's Tennessee. He's going to figure it out. I don't have as many questions there that other people would. Like, I trust Josh Heupel at this point. Like, he deserves to be trusted. They're one of the most consistent offenses in college football, I would say, throughout the past few years. So they're always a good team. So that's why they're top 25 for me. Well, I can't talk right now. Number 24. 24 is another team that I think is going to be a really, really solid team. It is the Houston Cougars. Houston's one of my favorite teams outside the traditional national college football playoff conversation. Like, outside of that conversation, when you dive into the Big 12, Houston's one of my favorite teams. Because I think Willie Fritz and this, Houston staff have put together a really good team. Like, a really solid team. You got Connor Wigman returning. You got the number one receiver returning on your team. You got all these things that are looking up for Houston. And I'm all for it. Houston has the potential to be one of the Big 12's biggest surprise teams, I think. I do need to see them prove that they can consistently be a competitive team in the conference, because if that happens, I think they would be top 20. I'm going to leave them at 24 right now in preseason. Number 23 is the Arizona Wildcats. Got Arizona at 23 because I think Arizona is a team that could be incredibly dangerous in 2026. Like, Noah Fafita comes back for his billionth year in college, and I could not be more excited because I am a Noah Fafita believer. I am a Noah Fafita lover. I don't care what you want to say in the comments. I love Noah Fafita. He is going to be one of the better quarterbacks in the Big 12, and he's a sleeper pick. No one's talking about Arizona. No one's talking about Noah Fafita. No one's doing it. No one's talking about Brent Brennan and his team over there at Arizona and the Wildcats. No one's talking. I'll talk about it. I would do a season preview video for Arizona. I'm not scared. I love what Arizona could be in 2026. I would fully buy into Arizona in 2026. No doubt. No doubt. I would do that. And I have. That's why I got them at 23 in my top 25. Number 22. Number 22 is the Louisville Cardinals. I mean, Louisville is one of the most interesting teams in the ACC. They're always a contender in the ACC. And, man, Jeff Brom will put together a good offense. If you're not a believer in that, I don't know what to say. Brent Brennan is known for putting together good offenses. He's got Lincoln Kleinholz, the former Ohio State quarterback, who almost beat out Julian Sand, a Heisman finalist, last year. So I think I'm pretty confident in Lincoln Kleinholz and what he can do for Louisville in 2025 or 2026. So that's why I got them at 22. 21, the Iowa Hawkeyes. Iowa is going to be a phenomenal team in 2026. I actually should take that back. They're not going to be phenomenal, but Iowa's going to be Iowa. Like, let's call a spade a spade. Iowa is going to be Iowa. That's for sure. Like, there's certain things in life, and Iowa being a top 25 team is one of the most certain things in life. Like, if you don't have Iowa in your top 25, I can't take your top 25 seriously. So I got Iowa at 21. They play defense better than anyone else in the country. They're going to be an 8-4. They're going to be a 9-3 team, and there's no doubt in my mind. So that's Iowa and Kirk Ferentz at number 21. Top 20 time. Top 20. Number 20 is the Utah Utes. How about them Utah Utes? Losing Kyle Whittingham, I understand, but Morgan Scalley comes in. I think Utah is one of the teams that I think could be much better than this ranking. I think they could be a little bit better than 20th. I think you're always a physical, well-coached team. Now, again, when I say well-coached, they're losing their head coach, Kyle Whittingham, but they're replacing him with Morgan Scalley, who's been waiting in the wings there at Utah. They can travel well in the Big 12. They've always played well on the road. So I think Utah is a tough physical team, That's why I have them at number 20. Number 19, heading over to the Atlantic Coastal Conference, we got the SMU Mustangs at number 20. SMU is a team that I'm really high on. Really high on SMU. Like, I love what Kevin Jennings is going to be in his gajillionth season as a starter at SMU in college football. I love what Rhett Lashley has put together there, returning. I mean, all the head coaching offers that Rhett Lashley had in 2026, and he chose to stay at SMU. That's saying something. Like, that is saying something about what he's building at SMU. So I'm buying into them. I'll put him at 20 or at 19. I put him higher. Just couldn't quite figure out where to slide them in. I could make an argument for them being ahead of this next team. What is my next team? Number 18 is Washington, the Huskies. Washington is one of my favorite potential breakout teams in 2026. Like, they could be the team where you have them on your schedule. Let's say Oregon plays them last week of the season, where Oregon's saying, "All right, we're 11-1. We're going to, or we're 10-1 right now. Let's say Oregon's 10-1. Oregon's sitting there saying, "All right, we're probably punching our ticket to the Big Ten championship. We're punching our ticket to college ball playoff, and then we got Washington on the road. But hey, we're fine. It's just Washington. It's just Damon Williams, just Jed Fish, and they go up there and they lose. That's what I think Washington's capable of doing. It's pulling off those upset wins where you didn't see that coming. Like, you didn't see Washington, Damon Williams pulling off a certain win against a certain team, and it happens. So I think Washington could play spoiler with a couple teams, so I got them at 18. 17. 17 is BYU. The Cougars at 17. BYU's coming off a season that kind of proved what BYU as a program can be under Kalani Sitake in the Big 12. They could be a contender. They can contend for the conference. They can contend for the playoff. So we know what they could be. They're returning their quarterback, Bear Bachmeier. So there's something to be excited about there. So there's a lot of, looking up for this team. Not a lot of, saying, I don't know about that. I don't know about this. BYU's a team where it's saying, oh, we've seen it. They're going to be a solid team. They're going to be at least 10-2. So that's BYU for me at 17. 16. 16 is the Penn State Nittany Lions. Penn State is just, they have one of the weirdest, paths to being a top 16 team, top 15 team in college football, because it's strictly schedule. Like, let's call it how it is. This is strictly a schedule pick, because their roster is probably an 8-4 roster. Let's be honest, but their schedule is a 9-3, 10-2 schedule. That's for sure. Like, their schedule is a schedule where you could see them making the college ball playoff because they go 10-2. Because they pull off a big win and go 11-1. Like, that's just a schedule thing, man. That's why they're 16. So Penn State does have a solid roster, don't get me wrong, in Matt Campbell's year one. Number 15. Number 15 for me is the Texas Tech Red Raiders. Yes, I know Brendan Sorsby's no longer there. I know that it's Will Hammond's team. I know all these things. You don't have to remind me. I covered the story. Like, we made multiple videos, half a dozen videos on the Brendan Sorsby situation. I understand what Texas Tech's going to be. I did a season preview. I dug into what they're going to be as a team. I know all these things. I know Will Hammond's there. I know Brendan Sorsby's not. But you know what else I know is there? Joey McGuire. A really, really, really good defense. A heck of a defensive line. A run game. A solid wide receiver room. I see all those things that are also there. So that's why Texas Tech is 15 for me. You might not see them as a top 15 team, but I for sure do, because they have a really solid team around them. Like, I think Texas Tech beats every single team that's behind them in the ranking. I think they beat Penn State. I think they beat Washington. I think they beat BYU. Call me crazy. I think they beat SMU. I think they beat Houston. Beat Iowa. So that's why I have them at 15. Michigan. Number 14. This is where things get a little interesting. This is where you could say, oh, well, Bryce Underwood and, Kyle Whittingham and, run game and offensive line and all these questions that you could point at and say, well, we don't know if it's going to work. We don't know what the Kyle Whittingham era is. We don't know if Bryce Underwood's going to improve. I'm going to tell you this right now. This is a predictive thing. Like, this preseason top 25 is predictive. I'm not saying that, like, this is how I see these teams now. This is how I see these. Like, this is not how I see these teams at the end of the season. It's how I see these teams now. I think Michigan's going to be a top 15 team. I'm going to tell you that right now. Do I think they're finished top 15 at the end of the year? Maybe not. But I see them as a top 15 roster. So that's why I have them at 14. Number 13 is the Alabama Crimson Tide. This is probably the lowest I've had Alabama in a preseason ranking ever, maybe. If I'm being honest, ever. The longest I've been alive. I haven't been alive very long, but I've been alive long enough to know that this is the lowest I've ever had Alabama in a preseason ranking. That's for sure. At 13. It's, exactly why Alabama is one of the most fascinating teams, biggest question teams in 2026 in college football. Because on one hand, they have to make the college football playoff to save DeBoer's job. And the other hand, it's like, well, what's the question what's the solution at quarterback? And, what happens if DeBoer's gone? And what does he need to do to save himself? Like, all these questions. And I look at it and say, it's Alabama. It's Alabama, guys. Let's not overthink this. Like, Alabama's going to be a really good team. They're going to be a SEC contender. They're going to be a college football playoff contender. Let's not overthink this here. It's Alabama. Number 12. Number 12 is LSU Tigers and the Lane Kiffin era. This is one I went back and forth on. I was like, do I put Alabama ahead of LSU? Or do I put LSU ahead of Alabama? I went back and forth. I settled on LSU ahead of Alabama because this is one of the biggest boom or bust teams in the country. I lean more towards boom than bust. Maybe in between. Is there like a happy medium? Is there, a little explosion, not like a big explosion, Again, they're bringing in 40 new transfers. Like, I hate to beat a dead horse. They're bringing in 40 new transfers. It's Sam Leavitt. It's Lane Kiffin. It's all these things. I think they're going to be okay. I think they're going to be 9-3. I think they're going to be 10-2. Like, I think they're going to be a solid team. Do I think they're going to be a playoff team? No. Do I think they're going to contend for the playoff? Yeah. That's my take on LSU. Number 11. Number 11 is the Texas A&M Aggies. How about them Aggies? Texas A&M is one of my favorite dark horse teams in the country because of Marcel Reed. Like, Marcel Reed, I think, is going to have a massive improved season. Ruben Owens at running back. Like, there's all these things that I think Texas A&M is going to be really good. Like, call me crazy, their offensive line, they lost a lot on the offensive line. I think their offensive line's better in 2026 than it was in 2025. So I think Mike Elko is going to get this team going, and I think they're going to be a really solid team and a playoff contender in 2026. I think they're going to make the playoff. Call me crazy. Number 10. Number 10 is the USC Trojans. Lincoln Riley, Jade Mailava, all these things. This was probably the most difficult team to rank, to be honest with you. The talent, the brand, the recruiting, it's all obvious. They all have it. But the results. We don't have the results, man. We don't have the national championships. We don't have the playoff. We don't have the Big Ten championships. We don't have any of that. We don't have any of the results. So that's why I put them at 10, because it's like I'm not going to put them higher. I could have easily made an argument to make them lower. I don't think they're getting higher than 10 in a preseason ranking, that's for sure. Number 9. Number 9 is Oklahoma. The Oklahoma Sooners are my number 9 team in my preseason ranking. I mean, Oklahoma's a team I think could be one of the best, one of the biggest risers in the country. I think it could be one of the teams where you rank them at a certain spot in the preseason, and then you look at them in the end of the season and you say, that team rose. That team went from 9 to 7, or from 9 to 8, or from 9 to 5. Like, I don't know, call me crazy. I think Oklahoma's going to be a really good team and a top 10 team for sure. John Mateer, I'm buying into John Mateer. Give me a John Mateer Heisman ticket. I will buy that off you right now. I will buy that off you faster than you can say the word John Mateer. I will buy that off you. That is for sure. I'm super high on John Mateer in Oklahoma. Number 8. Number 8 is Ole Miss. The Ole Miss Rebels are number 8. Ole Miss has become one of the most, solid programs in the country. Lane Kiffin is gone. It's Pete Golding's team. I love what they have here, man. I love what they have here. I love what Trinidad Chambliss can do for this team. I love what Quan Lacey's going to do for this team. They got a solid offense. So, again, Pete Going's the defensive guy. He's going to put a good defense on the field. Number 7. Number 7 is the Indiana Hoosiers. I mean, Josh Hoover, Nick Marsh, Charlie Becker, like Kurt Cignetti. How do you not put Kurt Cignetti a top 7 team in the country? I just don't see how you do that. Like, he's got to be. Kurt Cignetti is coming off of a national championship 16-0 season in Indiana. It's insane. We've never seen that before. Never seen that before done in Indiana. And Kurt Cignetti is a one-of-a-kind coach, and that's why I have Indiana at number 7. Number 6. Number 6 is the Georgia Bulldogs. How about them dogs at number 6? Georgia's still one of the most talented teams in the country. They got a great defense. They're always going to have a decent offense. Gunnar Stockton, all these things. But I'm not automatically assuming Georgia's going to just dominate, because I don't think they're going to dominate. I think there's going to be ups and downs with Georgia. I think there's going to be tough times and easy times. It's Kirby Smart, though. So how do you not have them top 6? Number 5. Number 5 for me is the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Notre Dame has unfinished business in 2026. They look at 2025 and you say, oh, we got snubbed from the playoffs. We got robbed out of a playoff spot. You are 100% right when you say that's Notre Dame's feeling. Now, I'm not saying Notre Dame got robbed of a spot, because I think they put the right teams in at the end. Should James Madison be in there? No. They probably shouldn't have been in there. But I will say Notre Dame's got a chip on their shoulder. Notre Dame's got the chip on their shoulder where it says, leave no doubt. That's Notre Dame's MO. That's their, punchline for 2026 is leave no doubt. Let the committee, do their selection Sunday, but make them look at Notre Dame and say, there's no question about leaving Notre Dame out. Like, there's no, make them say, don't even think about leaving Notre Dame out. Because Notre Dame, if you're 11-1, 12-0, you're making the college football playoff, no doubt. So that's Notre Dame at number 5. CJ Carr is there and all that. Number 4. Number 4 is the Miami Hurricanes. The Canes at number 4. Miami's one of the most talented teams in the country. I could not be higher on Miami. I thought about putting them in number 3, which I potentially might do. Like, maybe I'll do an updated top 10. I don't know. But bear with me. I really wanted to put Miami number 3, and I would, honestly, if I could go back, I think I would do it. I'm about to talk myself into putting Miami at number 3. I might talk you into it as well. Think about this. Darian Mensah. Let's say he goes out and has a top 5 Heisman season. Yeah, boom. Mark Fletcher at running back. Let's say he goes out and has he's a top 5 running back. Close to 1,000-yard season. Maybe over a 1,000-yard season, which he has the potential to do. We saw it last year. Malachi Toney. Think about Malachi Toney. Malachi Toney is only going to get better. What if Malachi Toney goes out and has a 1,000-yard season? Think about that. Defensively, what if, or let's go to offensive line real quick. Offensive line. Maybe that's where you have a question. You say, well, their offensive line is not going to be good. How are they going to run the ball and pass the ball without an offensive line? Let me tell you this for sure. Mario Cristobal is an offensive line guru. He will not let the offensive line be the dark spot and the reason this team doesn't have success in 2026. That is for sure. I mean, I am no doubt in my mind the offensive line is going to be solid. Defensive line, Hakeem Mesidor returns. Damon Wilson. Those two guys are monsters at defensive line. There's no questions there, that's for sure. Secondary looks incredible. Did I talk you into putting them number 3? I might have. I might talk myself into putting them number 1. That's how high I am on Miami. Might just be a Miami show. I'm kidding. We're not going to do that. We're national college football. Number 3. Number 3 is where it was pretty cut and dry. It's Texas. Texas is not a top 2 team. I'd love to put them top 2, but they're not. They're not. This is the year for Arch Manning. He's got to get it done. We haven't seen it yet. We haven't seen it yet from Arch Manning. We haven't seen it yet from Texas. So that's why I have them at number 3. Too many questions. Number 2. Number 2 is Oregon Ducks. The Oregon Ducks are number 2 for me. Oregon is one of the most complete teams in college football. You got Dante Moore, Evan Stewart, DeCorian Moore. You got a great defense. Corey Parrish at defense. It's going to be one of the better teams in college football. It's an easy number 2 for me. You could make an argument for number 1. I wouldn't push back on it. It's going to be a really, really good team that Dan Lanning has in Eugene. And the number 1 team in my preseason top 25 is none other than the Ohio State Buckeyes. It is Ryan Day. It is Ohio State. It is Julian Sayin. It is Bo Jackson. It's Jeremiah Smith. It's Brandon Inniss. It's Chris Henry. It's the defense. It's just going to be an incredible team. It's going to be an incredible team. You got Matt Patricia calling the offense or calling the defense. Got Arthur Smith calling the offense. I got confidence in both of them. So, Ohio State number 1 in my preseason top 25. Again, let me know in the comments if you agreed, if you disagreed. Just let me know. Let me know in the comments your take on my top 25. Let me know your top 10, top 5. Comment down below your top 10 teams in college football. Let me know. And let me know if you agreed with mine, disagreed. But if you're a college football fan, if you're watching this, I know you are. You're a fan of probably one of these teams. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you stay locked in with us. This is college football year-round. We do this twice a week. Full show twice a week. Make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you're locked in. We appreciate you guys for watching. That is not only the segment, but that is also the show. Like I said, we thank you guys for watching. We will be back here same time Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern time. It's when we release these episodes. We'll see you guys back here Thursday. Hopefully you guys have a great start to your week, and God bless. See you guys back here Thursday.